What's going on, guys? Quinn69 here. How you guys doing today? This is going to be a video on the upcoming patch for Diablo 3, patch 2.4.2. Okay, it's not going to be what you guys are used to. This is going to be a bit of a feedback session. We're going to talk about, what's happening in the patch, all the changes and stuff, but we're also going to offer up constructive solutions to problems. So this is aimed not only at, towards the community, but it's also, we're trying to talk to the Blizzard developers directly. Hoping that maybe we can get a little bit of change. Maybe, I don't know. I've got a lot of ideas from the community, from my community, from the community on the forums, people on Twitter, all over the place. The good and the bad and the ugly for patch 2.4.2. I'm going to start off with the positive stuff. So the stuff that Blizzard have changed, which is good. So, for starters, let's get into it, guys. One amazing thing Blizzard have changed in 2.4.2 is the fact that they've killed no RG runs. So, if you guys don't know what a no RG run is, it's effectively a run where you just run through the rift, kill the monsters for the experience, and then when you spawn the Rift Guardian, you leave the rift. And you just do it over and over again. This results in some of the most, I don't know how to explain the gameplay. It's pretty bad. And anyway, what they've done is they've shifted the experience from the monsters. So they've nerfed the experience you get from monsters and put a lot of the XP into the Rift Guardian kill. Therefore, it's not very efficient to just do rifts where you just only kill the monsters and you ignore the boss. So that's a good change that Blizzard have made, and that's a community have been asking for this for the longest time, and Blizzard finally did it. It's going to be amazing, in terms of farming next season. It's going to be spot on. Good job, Blizzard. We're also getting 3 new Torment levels. Torment 11, 12, and 13. What this means is it's not going to be all about the clear speed. Because right now, Torment 10 is literally how fast can you move and how much of the screen can you blow up with one key press. Okay? Which it's fun for a bit, but then it gets kind of gimmicky and it's not really, that great. And Torment 13 means you can play builds. Like, for example, there's Witch Doctor builds that have tons of damage, but they kind of move really slowly. We got Monk builds like Juliana's that do the same sort of thing, which aren't viable in Torment 10 because it doesn't move fast and it doesn't blow up the whole screen in one button, right? Whereas now, you're going to get more value out of those slightly slower moving builds, and you're going to be able to, get more value out of just having straight damage and defense and things like that. Which, it's good and bad at the same time because, it kind of... At the same time as, it makes a lot of builds viable, it also kills off a few builds, but there's nothing stopping you from farming T10 with like a really fast build, and then still getting more keys an hour just because you're clearing it so fast versus doing Torment 13 a little bit slower. It's going to be more decisions to be made, which all around is a good thing. It's a really good change in my opinion, because Torment 10 is still viable, as well as Torment 13 opens up a bunch of other builds now that were previously not viable because it was all about clear speed. Now that you can do T13, get like 3 keystones from Rift Guardian kill, you can do T13, farming Key Wardens, for example, get more machines. You can do T13 Ubers, get more Hellfire materials in less time. It's all around a really good change, and it creates, more decisions to be made, which is a really good job. Blizzard have also changed the way that gold scales, so it's no longer this hugely inflated number where you have like billions upon billions of gold. It's going to be, you're going to get less gold from everything, but it's also going to get less gold to empower greater rifts. What this does is it increases the value of things like Boon of the Hoarder, increases value of like actually doing, the Goblin puzzle ring, for example, with going into the treasure realm. Because right now it's pointless. It's a waste of time to go into the treasure realm, right? Okay, after this change, gold is effectively going to have, gold you farm in T13 and T10 and things like that is going to have more impact on GRs. One thing I'm kind of worried about, though, is if you're farming T13 all the time with a Boon of the Hoarder, with a bit of gold find on your gear, effectively, instead of having a gold sink where you're always running low on gold, what happened, you might just amass so much gold that you can literally empower every Greater Rift, and it might just destroy that gold sink that we have. But, as far as I can tell, it should be pretty good. Hopefully, and maybe it needs to be tweaked a little bit. I don't know. It's a good change all around, though, because right now, working with billions and trillions of gold is just absurd. Blizzard have also nerfed Witch Doctor's support, which is a bloody good thing, because supports are way too strong right now. They need to just bring the nerf hammer out and just nerf the crap out of every goddamn support in the game, because they're too strong. Playing the meta where it is 3 support, 1 DPS is horrific. I don't think this change is enough to kill that meta. I feel like next season it's still going to be triple support. It doesn't matter, but if they do enough of these support nerfs, like for example last season they nerfed support Barb a bit, this season they're nerfing support Witch Doctor, hopefully they can just get that nerf hammer out and just nerf the crap out of all supports, and then we can actually get to, like, you know, maybe 3 DPS meta, even 2 DPS meta. It would be, you know, drastically, it's heading in the right direction is what I'm saying, but this is not enough. Nerf more support classes, Blizzard, please do it, because they're way too strong right now. They also added in a new potion called Potion of Chaos. It's pretty weird, but it sounds fun, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be pretty fun to mess around with. It's a potion that if you press it when you're below 40% life, your character is randomly teleported somewhere on the screen. As far as I've never found one, but that's what the description says. So you press it, and your character just ports randomly somewhere. I mean, in before, like, you just port off the level when your character, like, is glitched out or something, but it sounds like it's gonna be fun. Monks are getting an updated Scarbringer. So if you guys don't know, Scarbringer is basically a useless fist weapon that always rolls bleed damage. Okay, they added a affix to it now. What it does is the first 5 targets you hit take 1000% increased damage to LTK. So it just means you get crazy damage whenever you're fighting 5 targets. Also, if you stack area damage, it means you can cleave a bunch of guys down. You guys are actually seeing the Scarbringer in action right now on the screen. It's ridiculous. One thing I will note though, it always rolls bleed. Okay, Blizzard, why? Bleed is useless. Can you please take the default bleed roll off? It's gonna be horrific. Playing with like pre-rolled bleed, please can you change that? Otherwise, I have no complaints about the Scarbringer. I really like the LTK meta. Blizzard are also adding in little pylon indicators so you can see on the minimap what type of pylon it is without having to actually highlight over the pylons. You'll be able to see if it's a power, channeling, whatever, just based on the unique indicator on the minimap. This is a great change and it's heading in the right direction. But I feel like they could take this one step further. They could make it the second the pylon spawns, even in unexplored areas, it will just pop up on the minimap. So you'll be able to see, even in unexplored areas, when a pylon spawns. You might be asking why. This is because if you guys don't know how pylons work, they spawn based on progression inside Greater Rifts. And what can happen is, quite easily, you can be progressing through a Greater Rift. You can progress enough to spawn a pylon. It will spawn in some stupid little cubbyhole just to the left or the right of you. You don't go into that seemingly unimportant cubbyhole, and then your pylon spawned there. You're not going to get another one. You can't get more than one, pylon. You can't get 2 power pylons in a rift. Okay, you just walk past it, and you just rip that pylon, right? It's just gone forever. Whereas people using cheats and map hacks, they will see that pylon spawn and they'll walk over and they get it, and they have a huge advantage. This is a great way to just nerf little map hackers, and I think everyone will appreciate this change. You should totally do it. Please, please, Blizzard. Another brilliant change is the fact that they've put pet goblin icons on the minimap, which means you don't randomly see a goblin on the minimap. Oh, it's just a normal goblin. You go and kill it, and then you realize, oh my god, that was a pet goblin, and then your whole party's angry at you because you killed a pet goblin and no one else was there. It's happened to me once, and I think this is a good change. You can now spot a pet goblin straight away, call your party to you, and you can kill it, and everyone gets a pet. Everyone's all happy and hunky-dory. Now let's talk about some of the other changes that are happening in 2.4.2 that are either redundant or heading in the opposite direction that we want to go. For starters, let's talk about the Twisted Sword. If you guys don't know, they tried to nerf the Twisted Sword and cap it at 8 stacks. Alright, this is effectively bugged and there is no cap. Right now on live servers, a lot of people have already clicked onto this and, it works as if there is no cap. So now what they're planning to do in 2.4.2 is to make that cap actually stick. So it's capped at 8 stacks. Okay, what this would do, we've already simulated it, we've spreadsheeted it, and in terms of multipliers, it's going to be a 4.23 GR level nerf, okay? That is nothing. It's going to take it down from like 121, 122 to like, best case scenario, 115, 116. That's best case scenario. This is still an insane amount of damage compared to any other build that exists in the game. It's still completely the best, like blatantly the right choice. This nerf is not going to do anything, all right? It's just going to mean, okay, we get slightly less experience next season. But we're still going to be twisting for a 3rd season in a row. We're going to be attacking a wall for a 3rd season in a row. There's a few ways Blizzard can fix this. They can either make it so twisters can not get stuck, because right now, if you shoot a twister into a 90-degree angle, what happens is the twister just stands still, and it just does full damage for its entire duration until it eventually despawns. Okay, which is not intended. The twister is supposed to be designed as a attack that temporarily passes through enemies and does a lot of damage. So you get maybe 1 or 2 ticks of damage off, and then the twister, flies off to Africa somewhere. It's not intended to sit still for the entire time, and that's what makes it so overpowered. So they could just fix the glitch where it gets stuck. Okay, so the twister just, always flies around, so you can never get max DPS like that, which would be a huge nerf to twister, and it would mean you don't have to sit there attacking a wall. Okay, it's probably the best fix you could do. Okay, you could also make it an easier fix, would just make the twisters have no interaction with terrain. So just make it no clip, so it just flies through everything. So it's literally impossible to stack, and it just turns it into a more kind of generic frontal cone attack, but it's still better than attacking a wall. Or, if you wanted to go one step easier and nerf it, I just thought of this just now. Okay, you could even just make it so twisters cannot tick more than once or twice on the same monster. So you could still stack it on a wall if you want to, but it'd be kind of pointless because, what's the point? If it can only tick once or twice and then it does no damage, okay, this would solve it. Or they could just delete the sword from the game, just nerf it to the point where it's just not it's just useless, right? Okay, that would be better than leaving it at the 8 stack cap, because nobody wants to play that again, right? It's seriously making people quit the game because you were just sitting there attacking a wall. I don't think if you haven't seen the gameplay, you should probably check it out. It is the least interactive, most passive, boring gameplay that I could, and then with no boss runs on top of that. Thank God you guys nerfed that. It is very bad, and you guys need to fix it, okay? Use any of those fixes, or just come up with something else, or just delete it from the game. Please, dear God, do not let us play Twister again for a 3rd season, because, that's gonna, even I am gonna consider quitting Diablo at that point if you guys don't change that. I would have lost faith. I would have lost faith in Blizzard if Twister slips through again for a 3rd season. So Blizzard have changed the raiment set. Instead of having 300% increased damage to generators, it now has 1,250% increased damage to generators. So obviously it's a huge damage buff for the set. And a lot of you guys might be like, yay, Blizzard, you're buffing monks. This is great. This is a great change. I myself, I think it's a horrible change. I would rather they just didn't touch the raiment set at all. In my eyes, what they've done is they've taken the most poorly designed set and they've just buffed it to the top in terms of damage. It's like, oh, it needs more damage. Let's just give it damage. Here, let's just take some damage multipliers. Here you go, buddy. What's wrong with the set? It has absolutely no toughness. So in terms of having consistent survivability, it's just not there. You're either at full life or you're dead, and that's the way it works. You're gonna get killed by white monsters from 100% life to dead, and there's really no way of fixing this with the current damage multipliers that are out there, because you're forced to run pretty much a standard gear setup, which you don't really have much choice in changing. On top of that, the only way you can make it do damage is by using the Shenlong set. So this is partially to do with the synergy of Raiment and Shenlongs that this problem occurs, but you're constantly getting wrecked with Spirit. So the Spirit management is horrific. And the only way you can kind of fix the problem is by using a Flying Dragon and Infused with Light, or a Flying Dragon and a Band of the Rude Chambers. Okay? Both of these mechanics are very gimmicky and it's not very intuitive. Anyone who's not following a build guide will never figure this out, and they're just going to set is going to be effectively useless. On top of that, you're reliant on a proc in order to maintain your spirits. So if you just get no Flying Dragon procs, you won't get any spirit and you don't do any damage, and it's just going to trigger you. So you're going to get randomly one-shot by elites, so you need to get good monsters, good elites. On top of that, you need to get lucky with your Flying Dragon procs. And on top of that, the rotation is so basic and annoying. It's just really not fun to play, but it does the most damage, so you had to play it. What needs to happen is Blizzard needs to redesign the set. I could think of a bunch of different bunch of different ways you can redesign it right now. Like, for example, you could just make it so your generators give you stacks, and then you can spend your stacks by, dashing, and make it so there's a cap on the stacks, so it's not like a COE 30-second build where you're constantly building up your stacks and then you do one dash every 30 seconds. Make it so it's got a short duration, and on top of that, it has a cap on the stacks. And like that's a really easy fix, and it creates a rotation where you have to, punch, be aware of your stacks, and then dash, and you actually have to think about what you're doing, and it's not like literally either holding down your punch button and just trying not to get instantly gibbed by almost everything, and then just dashing every 6 seconds. And it's not like holding down your punch button and spamming dash, because that's the other setup you can run, obviously, is you can literally hold down your punch button and just spam dash to do damage, and it's just, you get RSI on your finger, and it's not very fun as well. You can just redesign the set. Don't just buff the damage. Can you just either redesign it or just nerf it again, because nobody wants to play that setup. Blizzard have also redesigned a previously useless legendary gem, the Invigorating Gemstone. The way it works now is you can get 10 stacks of a buff that increases the amount of healing you receive by a very small amount. I think at level 100 it gives you about 30% increase to healing from all sources, which is, it's okay. It's okay. But the secondary effect means you're completely immune to ground control impairing effects. This is great. Okay, this is an alternative to, say, Epiphany or, Archon, whatever. A buff that means you're immune to CC. Okay? Unfortunately, it's just not good enough. You're not going to use it in pretty much any build. The only people who are going to use it are maybe some people on hardcore who are casual and they don't really know what they're doing and they just want to stack defense by any means necessary, stack their utility. But anyone who's not completely... okay, they're just not going to use it. It needs some sort of effective HP increase. Maybe do it in a cool way, some similar to, say, Moratorium, where it staggers the damage. Maybe just say it gives you 25% damage reduction. Maybe give it something that increases, I don't know, dodge on the Goguk, for example. Something that's fun that increases your effective HP. But right now, I don't see anyone using it because it's just currently not strong enough to compete. It might, as I said, some people might use it on hardcore who have no idea what they're doing. Maybe they actually, maybe these hardcore guys also use the old Invigorating Gemstone because they have no idea what they're doing. But, all of the smarter players are just never going to touch it, and it needs more buffs to actually become viable. Unfortunately, this video is getting a little bit long, and I'm going to have to cut it down a bit. But the TLDR is the Crusaders changes. They're basically redesigning Darklight, adding a new belt in, buffing our Gahan set, and they're trying to make Fist of Heavens good again. After all these changes, as far as I'm aware, it's not even clearing GR70, and there's some major buffs needed. It's a really good stepping in the right direction. They're trying to make stuff that's not being used viable again, but you're way off the mark. I mean, this is what PTRs are for. Definitely need to buff Crusaders. And on top of that, Demon Hunters, they've had a bunch of reworks to all of the traps, and they've buffed this trap weapon, and they're trying to make traps good again. But I could not find a single trap DH on the leaderboard, on the PTR in the top 1,000, and I've talked to a few of the Demon Hunters, and they all say it's basically trash. And they obviously, I mean, this is what PTRs are for. The Demon Hunter traps need some obvious buffs. They just need more damage. But otherwise, I have got a lot more to say. I'm going to talk about it in another video. I've got loads of changes that I think you could easily make in 2.4.2, and that would make the game a lot better. But that's going to take another 20 minutes to explain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another video, and I'll post that soon. TM, boys. But that's all I've got to say on the current changes to the PTR. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I hope I didn't sound too triggered. I mean, I wanted to be very constructive, and I want Blizzard to hopefully take on some of these ideas. Maybe just if they only take one idea, that'd be cool. Hopefully, we won't see some Twister meta next season. Fingers crossed. But otherwise, guys, that's going to be it from me. Until next time, peace the f*** out and have a good day.